Hello everybody, what is going on? Jimmy here back with another video. Today, my friends, we're going to be talking about, is the Duelsense controller overrated, or is it actually worth the hype that's really surrounded this controller for the better part of the year? A lot of people were excited because this controller, actually, a lot of people don't know this, so if I'm the first one to tell you this, don't forget to drop a like. The Duelsense controller actually uses the same company, or like Sony's working with the same company that Nintendo is with their controller. That's why their rumble is very similar to the rumble in the Joy-Cons. It's like a more developed version of the rumble in the Joy-Cons, and it feels definitely a lot better than the Joy-Cons, but to say that much, it feels like if you took the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con rumble and you added it, basically like you leveled it up a little bit and you put it into this controller. That's how it feels. But do I think that it's a monumental upgrade? I really do. And I think truthfully that Nintendo definitely needs to come up with something with the Switch Pro, because the fact that honestly I think Sony's killing them right now in controllers, and Nintendo usually always has the best controllers. The DualSense controller feels weighted, it's wide enough for my hands, it's perfect, and honestly I have no complaints whatsoever with it. I think the triggers feel absolutely amazing. When you're slinging around a Spider-Man going city block to city block, you just grab that web and you can feel the tension in the control. It's so nice, and I love that about it. I really do. When you're playing Call of Duty Cold War, you can feel the tension in certain guns, harder to press. You know, the recoil, you can feel it, and it's really cool. I really like the DualSense controller. So I guess the moral of the story I'm trying to get at here is no, the DualSense controller is not overrated, and I think that it makes complete sense for Sony to be marketing this thing as heavily as they are, because the fact that I think that the DualSense controller truly is a technical marvel. And I think it's absolutely amazing. I think the Xbox Series X definitely could have had a better controller. I think their idea of not reinventing the wheel, kind of just slimming down the Xbox One controller, a lot of people are mad about that too. They say it actually hurts their hands. Me personally, I've never actually had an Xbox Series X or S controller to compare to my Xbox One controller yet. So because of that, I don't really have any idea if it's really as small as people say it is. But if it's really a little bit smaller, like maybe 5 to 6% smaller overall, then I guess it could definitely pose a problem for people with bigger hands, as opposed to the DualSense, which is probably 5 or 6% bigger than the PlayStation 4's controller. But I don't know for sure how much bigger it is in these consoles. These are just all my random ballpark estimates, just based on what people have told me. But ultimately, I think that Microsoft should have tried a little harder with the Xbox Series X controller, and not just given us literally a rebranded Xbox One controller with a little bit of a different size. I think truly it would have been smarter just to keep the size the same way and save money. Like, why make a new mold if it's going to be almost exactly the same? Why even waste the money making a new mold? But that's just my thought on that. I mean, if you're going to make a new mold, in my opinion, at least make it look different, at least make it revolutionary, give it some new rumble, give it something that's going to differentiate it from the other controller. I know there's differentiating things, there's grips on it, there's different things that definitely differentiate it from the Xbox One and One X and One S controller. I understand that, but I'm saying overall, from a monumental upgrade standpoint, most people sitting on a couch aren't even going to be able to realize which one's the Xbox One X controller and which one is the Xbox Series X controller. It's going to get very confusing for people, especially people who own numerous consoles and they buy them all in black. It's going to be like, oh wait, this is my Xbox Series X controller. Yes, I know you can technically check the grips and everything, but I'm saying some people, they might forget about that. So I think Microsoft definitely should have put more money in R&D into designing like an amazing controller, but it doesn't really matter ultimately. The controller isn't everything, but the DualSense is not overrated, and I think it is on par and better than the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, and it's significantly more reliable too. There's been really no talk of drift or anything like that I've heard, or if there has been talk of it, it has not been severe enough to actually hit headlines and be a big deal about it, because I think by now we would be hearing if the controller was getting drift. Basically every single problem that the Sony PlayStation 5 has been outlined by the media non-stop, so I think we would absolutely know if it definitely had a problem with drift. So I think the problem must be very small, if there even is a problem with drift whatsoever. But those are my thoughts on the DualSense controller. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to drop me a like, comment, maybe even consider subscribing if you did enjoy this content. Let me know down in the comment section below, if you have a DualSense controller, do you think that it is actually overrated, or do you think it's really good? Personally, for me, I think it's really good, and I've been enjoying my time playing Spider-Man and all sorts of other games with the DualSense controller. I think that it is truly the best controller I think I've ever held in my hands, and I said that in my DualSense review. I also said that I think it's probably the best controller I've ever held in my hands. And now, almost a couple weeks later now, I can truly say that it is definitely the best controller that I've ever held in my hands. And maybe I just haven't been exposed to enough controllers, but I don't think so. Anyways, thank you so much. Jimmy out of here.